In 2008, a 25-year-old named Marcus sat down with a financial advisor who told him something simple. Put $100 a month into an index fund and don't touch it. Marcus nodded, said that sounds smart, went home, opened his laptop, and did absolutely nothing. Because $100 felt like a rounding error. He was making $38,000 a year, paying rent, paying off student loans, and trying to have an actual life. $100 a month felt like it wouldn't move the needle, so he waited. He'd start when he had more money, when things settled down, when the timing was better. The timing was never better. Marcus is 41 now, and I'm going to show you exactly what that decision cost him. The number is going to make you want to sit down, so go ahead and do that now. My name is Nick, and I've spent an embarrassing amount of time running numbers that most people find deeply uncomfortable to look at. If you've ever told yourself that you'll start investing when you have more money, or that the amount you could invest right now is too small to matter, this video is going to rearrange some furniture in your brain. Hit subscribe, because by the end of this video, you'll understand something about time and money that most people only figure out when it's too late to do anything about it. That's not a scare tactic. It's just arithmetic. And arithmetic doesn't care about your feelings. Okay, let's start with the single most important concept in this entire video, and let's do it without making it boring. Compound interest. You've heard the term. You've probably nodded along when someone mentioned it. But here's the thing. Most people understand it the way they understand how an engine works. Theoretically, vaguely, not in a way that actually changes what they do. So let's fix that right now with the stupidest simple version possible. You put $100 into an investment. It earns 8% in a year. You now have $108. Fine, not exciting. You didn't get rich, you bought a slightly nicer dinner. But here's where it gets interesting. Next year, you're not earning 8% on your original $100. You're earning 8% on $108. Then the year after that, 8% on the total from the year before. And the year after that. And the year after that. The number you're earning interest on keeps growing, which means the interest itself keeps growing, which means the speed at which your money grows keeps accelerating. You're not pushing a boulder uphill forever. You're pushing it to the top, and then at some point, it tips over and starts rolling on its own. The problem is the rolling part doesn't look impressive for a long time, and most people quit before they ever see it. Here's what $100 a month actually looks like across time at an 8% average annual return. The kind of return a basic diversified index fund has historically produced over long periods. After 10 years, you've put in $12,000 of your own money. Your account is worth roughly $18,300. That's about $6,300 the market added on top. Nice, a 52% gain on your contributions. Still not life-changing. You could buy a decent used car. But here's where you need to pay attention, because this is the part that breaks people's brains when they see it for the first time. After 20 years, you've contributed $24,000. Your account is worth roughly $58,900. The market added over $34,000. You more than doubled your money without doing a single thing except leaving it alone. The machine is starting to hum. After 30 years, you've put in $36,000. Your account is worth roughly $149,000. The market contributed over $113,000. Your money is now generating more wealth than you personally contributed by a factor of 3 to 1. You are no longer the hardest worker in the room. Your money is. After 40 years, you've contributed $48,000 of your own cash. Your account is worth roughly $349,000. The market added over $301,000 on top of what you put in. You put in $48,000 over a lifetime. You ended up with $349,000. That's a 627% return. On $100 a month. Read that again. $100 a month. The cost of a streaming service, a couple of dinners out, a gym membership you might actually use, invested consistently for 40 years at historical market returns, turns into $349,000. And you personally only contributed $48,000 of it. The market handed you the other $301,000 for free, for doing nothing except not touching it. That is what compound interest looks like when you let it run. And this is why every person who understands this math talks about it like they've seen something religious. Because the numbers genuinely don't feel real until you run them yourself. But here's where it gets brutal. And I mean that word specifically because I want you to feel this next part, not just understand it intellectually. Let me introduce you to two people. Same income, same $100 a month available to invest, same index fund, same 8% average annual return. One difference: when they started. Person A starts investing $100 a month at age 25. They do it for 40 years. They stop at 65 with $349,000, as we just covered. Person B looks at their finances at 25 and decides to wait. Not forever, just until things are more settled. They start at 35. They invest the same $100 a month for 30 years and stop at 65. Same discipline, same fund, same everything. Except they started 10 years later. Person B ends up with $149,000. Person A ends up with $349,000. The 10-year delay cost person B exactly $200,000. $200,000. Gone, not lost in the market, not stolen, not spent on anything, just evaporated because of a single decade of waiting for the right time, which never came. That is the real cost of waiting. Not the money you didn't invest, the money that money would have generated. The ghost wealth that never got the chance to exist. And the reason it's so brutal is that person B didn't do anything wrong. They weren't reckless, they weren't irresponsible, they just waited. And waiting, when compound interest is involved, is the most expensive thing you can do with your financial life. Now here is the pattern interrupt I promised you. Because I want you to actually feel what $100 a month is, not just think about it abstractly. $100 a month is $25 a week, which is roughly what a lot of people spend on forgotten subscriptions they haven't used since the pandemic. Netflix they share with a sibling, a meditation app they open twice, a meal planning service they never cooked from, the cloud storage upgrade because deleting photos felt like too much work that one Tuesday. It's 2 restaurant lunches. It's the difference between the regular version and the premium version of something you use every day. It's the impulse add to cart that happens every time you go online to buy exactly one thing. I'm not saying any of those things are wrong. I'm saying most people have $100 a month disappearing into places they couldn't identify if you sat them down and made them try. And on the other end of that $100 is $349,000. Not from genius, not from risk, from patience and an index fund and the refusal to touch it. The math is not asking you to be rich to start. It's asking you to be consistent. Now let's talk about what actually happens inside that growth. Because understanding the mechanics makes it easier to believe, and easier to leave alone when the market gets scary. In the first decade, almost everything in your account is money you personally put there. The market is contributing something, but you're doing most of the work. This is the phase that feels slow. This is the phase where people look at their account after 3 years and think it's not working. It feels like pushing that boulder uphill. Every dollar is a dollar you earned and chose not to spend. The sacrifice is real, and the reward feels distant. But something shifts around year 15. The balance on your investment starts throwing off returns that are actually meaningful in dollar terms, not percentages. Dollars, real numbers you can see. At around $100,000 invested, an 8% return is generating roughly $8,000 a year on its own. That's $667 a month appearing in your account from money you already had. You're now contributing $100 a month. The account is generating $667 a month. Your money officially has a better job than you do. By year 30, your account is generating more in a single year than you contributed in your first decade of investing. The math has completely flipped. You are no longer the engine of your wealth. You are a passenger. And the engine is compounding interest running at full speed. This is what Warren Buffett meant when he described his wealth as a function of time. He didn't discover a secret investment formula unavailable to regular people. He started early. He stayed consistent. And he let the math do what math does when you don't interrupt it. Here's the uncomfortable corollary to all of this. And it's the thing I really want you to sit with before we get to the practical part. Most people know compound interest exists. Most people have heard the word. Most people even have a vague sense that starting early is better than starting late. And yet the average American doesn't start seriously investing until their mid-30s at the earliest. A full decade of compounding, gone, not because they didn't know it mattered, because they didn't feel how much it mattered. There's a gap between knowing something and feeling it clearly enough to act on it, and that gap costs $200,000. You are either person A or person B right now. And if you're watching this video and you're somewhere between 22 and 40, you still have the ability to choose which one you end up being. But the window on that choice is not infinite. Every month you wait is a month of compounding that never happens, not delayed. Gone, the calendar does not offer makeup days for missed investment contributions. So let's talk about what you actually do with this. Because I don't want this to be a video that makes you feel bad and then sends you back to scrolling. I want it to be the thing that makes you open a brokerage account today. Step 1. Find your $100. Not hypothetically. Actually, open your bank statement from last month and spend 10 minutes looking at where your money went. I'll bet you $100 you find $100 you can't fully account for. Subscriptions, impulse purchases, upgraded versions of things you'd be fine with at the regular tier. The money is almost certainly already there. It's just not working yet. Step 2. Open a brokerage account if you don't have one. If your employer offers a 401k with any matching contribution, start there and contribute at least enough to capture the full match. That match is a 50% to 100% instant return on your contribution before the market does anything. There is no investment on earth that guarantees that kind of return on day one. If you don't have an employer match, open a Roth IRA. You contribute after tax money, and every dollar of growth inside that account is yours forever without owing taxes on it when you withdraw in retirement. You're planting a tree today, and the government agreed not to tax the fruit. Step 3. Pick a simple index fund. Not a stock, not a sector bet, not something you read about in a forum at 11 p.m. A total market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund. Low fees. Broad diversification. Historical returns in the 7 to 10% range over long periods. You don't need to be smart to invest in an index fund. You just need to not be clever. Clever is what gets people into trouble. Boring is what builds $349,000 out of $48,000. Step 4. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account on the day after you get paid. Not when you remember. Not when you feel like it. Automatically, every single pay period. The single biggest predictor of investment success isn't intelligence or market timing or picking the right stocks. It's consistency. And the only reliable way to be consistent with money is to remove yourself from the decision entirely. Make it automatic and then make it boring. Step 5. Do not look at it. Seriously, set it up, confirm it's running, and then go live your life. The market will go up. The market will go down. If you watch it constantly, you will feel the urge to do something during the down periods. That urge is wrong every single time for a long-term investor. The people who panic sold during the 2008 crash locked in their losses and missed the recovery. The people who did nothing woke up a few years later wealthier than before the crash. The strategy for handling market volatility is almost insultingly simple. Don't look, keep contributing. Wait, quick aside, and then we'll close this out. Everything I just walked you through, finding the numbers, making them feel real, turning dry math into something you actually care about, that's a craft. And it's the exact skill I teach in the community I've built for people who want to create channels exactly like this one in the personal finance space. If you've ever thought about doing what I do, the link is in the description. No pressure, it'll be there when you're ready. Now, back to Marcus. Marcus is 41. He makes more money now than he did at 25. He's doing okay, but that advisor sat him down again last year and ran the numbers on what his account would look like today if he'd started that $100 a month in 2008 instead of waiting. $349,000 at 65 assumed he started at 25. Marcus started at 41. Same $100. Same fund. Same discipline from this point forward. He gets 24 years instead of 40. At 65, his account will be worth roughly $95,000. Same person. Same $100. Same fund. The only variable that changed was when he started. And it cost him $254,000. That's not a punishment. The market doesn't know Marcus exists. It's just math operating the way math operates when time is the input. More time in, more wealth out. Less time in, less wealth out. No exceptions. No negotiations. No appeals process. Marcus isn't broken. He's just starting now. And starting now is always better than starting later. But starting 16 years ago would have been better than starting now. And the version of you reading this has access to something Marcus at 25 didn't know he was throwing away. You know what the delay costs. Now you can't unknow it. The market is going to compound either way. The question is whether your money is in it when it does. And if this video reframed how you think about what you do with $100 this month, drop a comment telling me where you're starting from. I read every single one. And if you want to understand what happens after you cross that first big investment milestone and why hitting a specific number completely changes how you think about money, that video is right there on the screen. I'll see you in it. One last thing, because I always say it and I mean it. I'm not a financial advisor and none of this is financial advice. It's just math I wish someone had made feel real for me a long time ago. Take what's useful and do something with it today. Not next month. Today.